This is the LEGO Ideas set, the NASA Apollo Saturn V, set number 92176 with 1,969 pieces. This build was most enjoyable. What I got from it is what you see on the outside covers up what is on the inside. There was lots of studs on the side and very intricate clip designs to hold the shell of the rocket onto the side. What I also found is that, what I also experienced I should say, is most of the steps that you do through the build happen 4 times. So you get a bit of a production line going when you're putting all the cladding on and connecting the plates together. But a really good experience. So the rocket consists of several parts, which is very much like the real rocket. You have the first stage, which takes the rocket from Earth to just below the surface of the atmosphere, which then the first stage falls away and the second stage ignites and takes the rocket into orbit. From there the second stage falls away and the third stage continues on towards the moon. At that point, when the rocket is in orbit of the moon, the command module then breaks away from the lunar module and connects to the lunar lander. The third stage then goes into orbit around the moon and is discarded. At that point, the lunar lander will separate from the command module. The command module will stay in orbit, and the lunar lander then descends towards the moon's surface. From there, the lunar lander does its project on the moon, and the base of the lunar lander stays on the moon, where the top part then goes back, launches from the moon back into space and connects to the command module to return back to Earth. The service and command module then return back to Earth, and as it breaks through the atmosphere, the service module falls away and the command module then lands in the Pacific Ocean, where the rescue crew will be standing by to retrieve or take the astronauts from the lunar lander back onto the boat. As the rocket takes off and starts its journey towards space, just before breaking through the atmosphere, stage 2 ignites and the first stage falls away. Shortly after the first stage has fallen away and the rocket is safely in space past the Earth's atmosphere, the launch escape tower is jettisoned from the top of the rocket. As the rocket continues its journey towards the moon, stage 2 is then jettisoned and stage 3 ignites and takes the rocket closer towards the moon. The next phase of the journey is when stage 3 and stage 4 separate and stage 4 turns around to retrieve the lunar lander from the lunar module. So let's see how this works and hope it works out okay. Stage 4 separates, the module opens, the second side falls away, stage 4 would come down, connects up to the lunar lander, stage 3 falls away, and the lunar module, lunar lander, and stage 4 will then continue on towards the moon. For the next phase, the lunar lander and the command module will separate, and the lunar lander will then descend towards the Earth to the moon's surface, and the command module will stay in orbit. Once the 2 astronauts had finished their research on the moon, they would then return to the lunar lander and take up their position in the ascent stage. The ascent stage and descent stage would then separate. The ascent stage would then meet with the command module that was still in orbit around the moon. They would then connect together and the two astronauts in the ascent stage would then take up their position in the command module. The ascent stage and command module would then separate, and the command module would then return to Earth. At a certain altitude, as the command module is falling towards the Earth's surface, it would deploy the parachutes, which would bring the module to a safe landing in the Pacific Ocean. As the command module descends towards the ocean, the module would then land in the water and deploy its raft to keep it buoyant. And at that point, the rescue crew is on standby to retrieve the astronauts from the command module. The model has a lot of detail on it, and you can see even around the engine build, you've got discs showing the thrusters, you've got we can try to get in here, the rail from the trains as some of the barriers or some of the pipework around where the boosters are. And you've got also a little megaphone piece connected to an arm to show some of the igniters that were installed for lighting the rockets. Coming up the side, you've got a lot of detail as you go through the build, and all these vent pieces are 6x2 builds that connect onto an intricate clip design sitting behind the surface. On the top, you have got 4 connectors that then connect the first stage to the second stage, and it is a very rigid connection for the simplicity of it. And then what's also really nice about this set, all of these pieces are printed. There are no stickers involved in building of this model. Right, looking at the second stage, the detail is continued through with having the 5 rockets at the base and little orange studs to represent the burners. And you've got your 4 connectors sitting on the diameter to connect the second stage to the first stage. The United States are printer stickers, which is really nice for this model. And you've next got these fin pieces that have a very intricate design to connect with clips in the middle of the rocket. On the top, you've got your 2 connectors to connect the second stage to the third stage, and the black sections are shaped using hinged pieces to get to the curve to get to the diameter of the third stage. The base of stage 3 is a much smaller build, and also with some intricate brickwork and studs on the side, on the inside, and you've just got the single booster underneath. And to complete this stage with the lunar module is the cavity where the lunar lander would stay. Having a look at the 4th stage with the launch escape tower attached, which is the last part of the build for the rocket, it's relatively simple but really encapsulates the design to complete the rocket. And getting down to this size was quite a challenge for the designers of the rocket. The design for the rockets all started around having the lunar module fit inside the capsule for the lunar lander, and that determined the magnitude that the rocket then became. So this little build has the descent stage and the ascent stage, which can separate, and 2 of the micro figures to represent Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, and the flag, or the American flag, on a clear printed piece. To complete the journey from Earth to the Moon and back, they've given us the command module that landed back in the Pacific Ocean, and they've used the orange ring around it to show the raft, or the raft that was deployed to keep the command module afloat. And you've got your buoys on the top, which were the parachutes that then allowed the module to land safely and then detached from the module. Just to complete the kit, they've given us 3 display stands to support the rocket in the horizontal position. Just because of the sheer size of it, unfortunately can't fit the rocket in the space that I have.